Hi, everyone.
Good morning, Kayla.
Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, everyone. I am Sarah Kelly Palmer,
And I'm Kayla David.
and welcome to Be Well Live. Um, Here we are. It's a Wednesday. For those of you who haven't joined us before, Kayla and I are part of the healing department at Family Service in Rhode Island, and we are coming to you now every other week here on Facebook and also YouTube, as part of our Be Well live information series. And we kind of started off focusing in on topics related to how to stay well during COVID-19, which we're still doing. But we're also just kind of expanding to talk about how we are strive to be well in our day to day, since COVID's kind of becoming part of our day to day. Family Service of Rhode Island is a social service agency, and we offer a variety of services including telehealth counseling. And we say that every week because it is so important that we all focus on our mental health during this time, and we're here to help.
Yeah, our mental health is just as important as our physical health. And the more that we can get the message out there that it is okay to be seeking help right now, the better. And so if you or a loved one or a friend or a neighbor is in need, please don't hesitate to reach out. Please don't hesitate to share with others that it's okay to reach out if we're stressed, if we're experiencing anxiety, if we're experiencing sleep disturbance. It is okay to talk to a counselor. It's okay to seek mental health treatment. And now we need it more than ever. As Sarah was saying, we're coming together today and each and every other Wednesday now at 10 a.m. for discussions that support wellness. And we'll, at times we'll focus that on COVID-19 like we're doing today, but at other times we'll be really looking at kind of supporting our overall wellness, um, just kind of generally. So please take a moment to share this with your friends. Start a watch party if you're watching this on Facebook. Share the YouTube videos if you're watching it there. We really want to reach as many people with this information about how we take care of ourselves. Oftentimes, that's the first thing to go. We all really love other people, and so we want to be there. We want to support. We want to take care of all of those day to day tasks. And oftentimes, what goes first is taking care of ourselves, and it is so necessary. So again, if you're struggling, please don't hesitate to reach out. COVID-19 is impacting our mental health. It's impacting our overall well-being. And it's important for us to be talking about that and really sharing that information.
Today, we're going to talk about how we're going to give families some tips and tricks about how to survive the summer, which, Kayla, a lot that we cover on our Be Well series here, I take to heart because I need the tips and tricks. So I'm really excited about this one. We all are having to get we're having to get creative about how to deal with the summer of COVID-19. Many families are trying to figure out how to work either from home or work out of the home and occupy their children at the same time in this context where many summer camps that you might have traditionally sent your children to have not opened. Um, Perhaps your childcare or daycare has not reopened, or maybe those camps now have limited hours or limited slots because they aren't enrolling as many children. Um, so there's lots of barriers that families are facing this summer. Some families aren't comfortable, even if there is a camp option or a childcare
Mhm.
option. You might not feel comfortable sending your child or children there. And then there are also families that really have no choice and have to send their children to a daycare option that still might leave them feeling kind of anxious or nervous for their child's safety. So we're really hoping to have a conversation today that will help families navigate the summer and give you all some creative ideas that you and your children will enjoy. I know, like I said, it's been hard for my family to transition from distance learning to summer because we have not been able to have our typical routine, and it's proving to be challenging.
Well, and I would imagine, Sarah, and answer on behalf of parents here. I would imagine it just feels like distance learning has continued. Like
With no
there's no
structure.
novelty of summer. Yeah. It's just now we are just home again. Or,
Yes.
continuing to be home and with less, yeah, distance learning had its struggles, but there was somewhat of a routine. There
Correct.
was some kind of point where maybe parents could, leave their child in the room doing their work and, like, breathe, and now I feel like even that's not there anymore, so I'm really excited to talk about this because I do think the novelty of being home together has
Mm,
certainly worn off for many. I think we've talked a lot about how do we keep positive, how do we reframe, how do we think about this kind of the silver linings of some of these really horrific situations like our pandemic. But also sometimes we just have to be real that it's might
mhm.
have worn off and it might be really really difficult. And I know when I work with a lot of parents that are you know just we're halfway through the summer and it feels like
Ugh,
it's we've been in it forever. And for others, it's like we're halfway through the summer and where has the 2020 gone? So I think it's really messing with us in a lot of ways. So we're hearing from many parents and caregivers that about this adjustment just being really difficult and challenging, which is why we really wanted to talk about this today.
mhm,
Um, Summer looks different, right? This summer, for many people, looks different. It's hard on kids. It's hard on parents. Um, we want parents to know that we have to figure out ways to give them a break. We, parents need to take care of themselves and focus on their wellness too. You don't have to have this all figured out, but our hope is that you can take away 1 to 2 ideas from our segment today that you might be able to integrate into your weekly routines or your daily routines
mhm,
or something just to try that's new. Um, because we do know that people have varying levels of comfort, right, about activities in public. So we might talk about some things that might be in the public. We will also talk about things that you can do in
mhm.
your own home. So again, pick suggestions that feel right for you. As we've talked about in other segments, there is such a wide range of normal reactions to how we reintegrate. And so families and you know families have to choose what feels right for them and at what steps they're reintegrating and what that looks like. So again, pick things that feel right for you and your family.
And one thing we're gonna talk about, is something that, we've actually done. So I have one child, an only child, which, in when you're looking for your child to play with someone, having an only child is a challenge. But one thing that we've done is, a way to kind of structure ideas around activities, right? So we made this in our family this kind of brainstormed a bucket list. And in our conversation today, we've kind of structured activities into kind of 4 topics that we're going to talk about. And those are play, explore, create, and learn. And I give this tip to lots of parents because if you sit down with your family and whether or not you use these kind of topic headings or not, um, brainstorming activities and ideas both at home and out of the home into one big list and hanging it up in your house, I have to say that's been a lifesaver for us because it kind of takes away the challenge of what are we going to do today, mom? Right? What can I do today? So this idea of brainstorming a list of both activities that are family based but also activities that are independent for your child that they can do on their own while you're working, while you're doing things around the house that you need to do can really be a game changer. You
Well, and
can
oh,
Yeah, go
sorry.
for it, Kayla.
I mean, I was just thinking, Sarah, I mean, this is such an opportunity. We always talk about opportunities to have conversations, right? This is
Yeah.
an opportunity to have conversations with kids. They will create the list for you. You don't have to create the list if you ask them. And I think sometimes kids will say, like, I want to go to, you know, a theme park, right? And that's not realistic right now
Right.
for any of us, but it might then indicate to us, oh, are you interested in the engineering of making roller coasters, right? And that might give us, we might be able to go down areas. Are you interested in biology? And we might be able to kind of look at the animals and become kind of explorers in our own backyard. I think that there's so many opportunities, even if kids throw out really big things that
Oh
are
yeah.
outside of what um, is possible. I'm thinking back to Sarah that probably a month ago, we had Sarah's son on our show,
All
and he
right.
wanted to go to like, was it Ibiza? Like he wanted to go somewhere.
Barcelona,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we might be, that's not a reality, but we
No,
might be able to
no.
get to a point where we figure out, okay, what is of interest there? And what can we do to bring Barcelona home? Um, yeah.
Right. So no idea is a bad idea. You can reframe ideas, right, and make them kind of into more manageable ideas, Kayla.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, send your kids away with a big sheet of paper or a bunch of sheets of paper and have them brainstorm ideas. Um, it can be really, really helpful. So, I like, because I like to organize things, I like to have categories because then I can tell my son, pick three different activities today from three different categories or two different activities from two categories. So that's kind of why we organize it this way. The first category might seem really obvious, and it's play, right? Um, One gift that I think COVID-19 has given to some of us is this idea that giving our children the opportunity to be bored, right? So, this idea of getting back to the basics of play, good old fashioned play. Before COVID-19, many families were very, very scheduled. Perhaps kids were over scheduled. Um, I think you talked, Kayla, about silver linings. I think one of the silver linings is we can now let our kids be bored. And that's a good thing. Being bored for kids is a way to contribute to their healthy development because it lets them use their imagination, it lets them use their creativity. We talked a lot about in the beginning of this pandemic, easing up on screen time and all that, and that's still all well and good. But I know for me, challenging my kid to turn off the screen and just go and play, sometimes he looks at me like I have two heads, but what that turns into is making forts with cardboard or, drawing something really spectacular or taking a bunch of rocks in our yard and piling them up into a tower. It can really be very good for their imagination and creativity. So play can be independent, right? You can say, go play. But play can also be a way for parents to engage with their kids again, getting on the floor with them. I think with younger kids, that might come a little easier. But for older kids, that means playing cards with them, playing sports with them, playing board games. It can be really a good way to reconnect. And not only can it help your child's mental health to have you engage in that play with them, but it actually can really benefit us as parents. Um, so, for me, I know working from home is really difficult because my work tends to spill into my personal life because there's no shutting it off. So, engaging in play with my son has let me turn off the phone or, stop looking at emails. So, it's been really, really beneficial for us. So, it seems really basic, but I think sometimes we forget about just good old-fashioned playing, um, and allowing that unstructured time for your kids to be kind of a gift.
Yeah, and I think allowing things sometimes to get a little messy.
Yeah.
You know, Sarah knows this. I'm in my home. I'm quite organized. Not as much in my office, but I don't have to be there right now. So it's really challenging to let things just get a little messy, and that doesn't
Mhm.
mean like food everywhere or anything like that. But we can pull out all of the old clothes from our closets and have dress up, or
Oh, yeah.
we can, if we can't go outside, maybe if you don't have, an outdoor space, we can, put down an old, what are those bath sheets from the shower sheets
Shower
and
curtain. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and play art or create things. I think that there's opportunities and we can let things get a little bit messy. Um, I know for many of us, we've started reconfiguring our homes. My once guest bedroom is now my office. And that's also an opportunity. If there's spaces that aren't
Mhm,
really utilized in your home or underutilized, how do we make those a place where we can have puppet shows? How can we make that a place where we can find little bits of fun? And 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 I think for parents especially, don't forget that when, what were the fun things when you were kids? I think about going to my grandparents' house and they had a rather small yard, but in my mind it was huge. And we would like
mhm,
run through the little trees and the bushes and we were, climb under things. And it to me, if I drove by now, that house and that yard is very small, but it was so magical to be out there for hours running through
mhm.
the gardens. I think we don't want to forget as adults that those things are still really, really beneficial and fun, and that fun can be had or play can be had with very little. We also, have the next topic. It kind of fits really well in this. It's to explore. How do we create opportunities for exploration? And this
Mhm,
could mean a lot of things to a lot of different families. So it could mean exploring your local neighborhood. So going on walks or riding your bike around your home, around your neighborhood, down the street. It could be that you're creating or your child's creating a journal of all the different leaves they can find, or finding opportunities to, since I've worked from home, there's so many birds in my backyard that I have no idea what kind of birds they are, right? I think that there's all of these opportunities to explore the nature, explore what's going on, doing even, mindfulness walking, really trying to explore new ways to engage in the places that we live. It could also be picking a place here in Rhode Island that you've never been to. So it might be that it's a hiking trail or a lighthouse or a park or a beach. Maybe not the beaches that are really, really busy right now, but there's all of those little places, right, that we can go that don't have a ton of
mhm.
people there, that we can really be able to explore safely. And many of those are free to go to. Another cool way to explore places is to do virtual tours of famous
Mm,
places. So there's so many museums or places that we might never be able to go in our lifetime that are now offering free virtual tours of them. Many of our most famous museums are offering virtual tours, and you can spend hours virtually inside of these places. Um, so the Smithsonian is offering
mhm.
free tours of their many museums. So you could take even a tour as a family. So finding opportunities to explore that way. And then there are so many great local resources, and kidinfo.com has a list of over 200 things for kids to do in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. So, and we'll link that after this show. So finding new places, and they are often places that, even if we've lived in Rhode Island for a long time, we haven't explored as adults. So um, the opportunity to explore is so important, and exploring is an opportunity to learn and to grow. And so how do we explore the worlds that are around us, and or how do we explore a new skill like cooking or composing music or writing poetry, or is your kid one of those kids that wants to write a novel? How do we kind of create that opportunity to explore these new skills that we can really cultivate during this time?
Another cool virtual thing, Kayla, is a lot of zoos across the country or the world have, like, panda cams or elephant cams, so you can kinda, like, visit parts of the San Diego Zoo. So there's just so much out there that I think, um, that I, as a parent, don't think of. So it's really cool to be thinking about things like virtual tours, especially since, you know, nobody's traveling right now, so it's a great way to kind of travel. And there are so many cool things to do in Rhode Island that don't cost money. Um, so lots out there to offer. The next thing that we think about or topic is this idea of create, right? Creating things. So when in doubt, create something. Kayla, you mentioned art projects, right? So this could be an individual activity for your child, or it can be a thing that you do as a family, creating art. Um, Cooking a new recipe, or creating your own board game. My son really loves to make his own comic books, right? And all you need for that is paper and a pencil. It's pretty low maintenance. One new thing that we have learned to do since this pandemic is we've made a few family movies, right? So we have this portable ping pong net. This is so dorky that you can put on any table and play ping pong. So my son recorded us playing ping pong and then set it to like dramatic, funny music, and we sent it to all our friends and families. So that was something we'd never done before, and it was fun. It was creative, and it took a long time for him to do. So it occupied some of his time. Um, Having your kids create a scavenger hunt that grown-ups have to do, or maybe you create one for them. There's tons of ideas online about creating scavenger hunt. And the thing that I love, you don't have to be an artist, you don't have to be a chef, right, to be good at creating things. Just the act of doing that um, can really help manage your stress. Just getting down to it and being creative is so helpful. Even if you're just kind of building Legos, right? That can be a creative thing for kids to do or you to do as a family. So that's really getting in touch with your kind of creative spirit, your creative juices, and encouraging that in your kids can be a really fun way for families to survive this summer of COVID.
Well, it reminds me of when Jeff from Peace Love was on with
Oh,
us
yes.
months ago, and
Yeah.
we talked about you don't need to be an artist,
No.
right, to create. And so, how do we create opportunities? And you know, as adults, we don't need to know how to do something yet. That creates an opportunity to really connect with your child. Maybe you want to, I don't know, build a go-kart, and you're figuring out together what that would even look like to put together something like that. These are such, interesting times, and it does allow us to slow down. And just like you were saying with the kind of earlier, Sarah, it allows us to slow down and really connect and find
Mhm.
things that we have in common, or things that we really enjoy to do together as a family. And this is certainly an opportunity to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and our last category is learn. And we've actually talked about how all of these things help kids learn, creation, exploring, playing. We learn from doing, we learn from
Mm.
engaging in our environment. So everything that we talk about is an opportunity to learn. And right now, more than ever, there are so many resources out there, and there are amazing, ballerinas that are, putting up free classes, or offering free classes so that kids can learn
Mhm.
ballet or learn dance, or there's opportunities to learn how to play an instrument on YouTube. And people have really put in a lot of time to saying we want to make sure that there are resources that people have access to, and that they don't cost money. So how do we
Yep.
make sure that we have these available? And so YouTube is a wonderful place to find many of those things. So if there's a new language, there might be an opportunity to learn that for free. So really finding ways, and we know that kids are over distance learning, they're trying to take their summer. So how do we make learning fun? How do we make learning exciting or appealing? Maybe it's things that they wouldn't necessarily get access to in school, that they can learn
Mhm.
about: a new dance, a new song, learning to cook or bake, finding opportunities to really kind of engage with the world, or engage in things that are that we're doing, that we're using our hands, that we're really present for. I know Sarah had reminded me of this when we were talking about this. Like, I love gardening, and this is like a new thing, not a new thing for me, but has certainly kind of expanded during this time that we've been home and spending more time at home. That I have, you know, I have a small space, but I have a large container garden outside. So I'm growing my own vegetables, and that took hours of reading things because my green beans turned yellow, and it just allows for this opportunity to learn. Or I have, a bunch of plants inside. I've had a lot of house plants, and so learning about kind of caring for those plants. We can, we want to take things that we're excited about and our kids are excited about. So, if they're not excited about certain things, maybe we don't try to put that on the list, right?
Right.
It's a list for them, and so really cultivating it from them, and really helping them to understand that the things that they're passionate about, that there's so much information about that in the world.
Yeah, and I think, Kayla, being tangible and making that list seems obvious, but it's such an important thing because, um, while we won't be able to do certain things each day, right? Like, if I'm working all day, we can't, go to the zoo or whatever, but, it gives something tangible for my son to work off of, and me too, and again, we come up with ideas that we never would have thought of before. So it's so helpful for him to be able to go to that list, pick an independent activity, and it also helps to motivate me to do more family activities with him because it feels kinda good to put a check by the list. We don't cross it off, we just put a check because you can do some of the activities more than once. Um, the other helpful thing I think that my family has recently done is that we've expanded our circle or our pod, right? People are kind of, or some people call them quarantines. Um, so that to include some close friends, because we don't have family nearby, but to include some close friends so that we're helping to lean on each other for things like childcare or play dates. And, everybody has different circumstances and different comfort levels around that. But, you know, communicating with your friends and family about that can be really helpful because it can be um, really refreshing for kids to play with other kids that they haven't seen in quite some time, or refreshing for you as a parent to maybe have your child go to a friend's house for a while to play and give you some time to recharge your own batteries. So that's been really helpful.
Yeah. I mean, I could not imagine just doing this all on your own. I mean, it just reminds me of like Hillary Rodham Clinton talked about it takes a village, right? And if
Hmm.
we do, even virtually, we need that village, and it's so important to be thinking about strategically and safely. How do we help each other? How do we support parents, especially right now during the summer? We know that many families are signing their kids up for camp or childcare depending on their circumstances, which has been helpful to some kids and parents,
Hmm.
and necessary. But we know that many families have different circumstances, and COVID-19 has really impacted our economy. It's impacted the opportunities for summer camps, for childcare. It's become really, really competitive, and that might not be an option for everyone. So the biggest message that we wanted to get out there is that you can survive the summer. We're here for you. You can survive the summer without spending a ton of money or a lot of money. That there's ways to get creative, to kind of structure some routine in, or to kind of help with that. I imagine that many people are on that like 100th time that they've heard like I have nothing to do, right? We want to be able to give you opportunities to be like, no, you have things to do, or like, let's go again. Sarah said this before, like, let's go to the list. What's on the list today? So we hope these suggestions have been helpful, help you start to think about new things. We would love it if you do have, resources or ideas. Even if you're watching this after, leave it in the comment section. People read those. Parents have come up with amazing ways to keep their children occupied, and it's a great opportunity to share that.
And if you are a friend, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, or somebody who knows a family who is juggling a new summer routine because of COVID-19, Parents need your help. Pick up the phone and call a parent that you know, right? If they're comfortable, if you're comfortable, offer to watch their children in their backyard, socially distanced, or in a park. Parents need your help. So,
And they need your
yes.
creativity. When we are stressed, we are not great at coming up with new brilliant ideas. So even if it is that you can't, come over to help with childcare, do you have some idea that might be able to spark a day's worth of play in a child? Please share this. Please share
Yes, please.
that. So we hope that this has been informative and helpful. We love coming on here now every 2 weeks, but we love coming on and talking to you. And we look forward to coming back in 2 Wednesdays at 10 a.m. to discuss other topics related to wellness. If there are topics that you want to hear more about, questions you have, please put that in the chat box. Please message us. And let us know. And we would be happy to cover topics that you are really passionate about.
And we're definitely, I think, Kayla, working to get someone on here to talk about as we approach school, whatever that may look like. We're going to have a segment on that because we've heard from a lot of people that that is on their minds. So look for that in August. And please remember, if you or someone you love is struggling with managing stress or anxiety or depression or just overall kind of coping during this time, we know this is hard. We have clinicians at Family Service of Rhode Island who are able to assist you through telehealth services. So feel free to outreach us and give us a call. Be well and be safe, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.